Do you have one? You know what I mean? I don't think I can get out. I just like take a picture. And yes. You know, it's like as Brian said,
We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for coming out tonight in support of, we have multiple agenda items. I want to thank you for coming out. My name is Sylva Mona. I'm a counselor, but I'm filling in for the mayor tonight. So we want to thank you, and we're going to go ahead and get started with our opening Pledge of Allegiance by Chief Dave Thomas from our fire department, and our opening remarks by Chief Smith from the Pleasantville Police Department. Before we get started, though, if we want to have any youth come, and you can sit right here on the floor, right in front of these seats. We need to try and keep the hallway as clear as possible for safety reasons. Youth, if you're in seats and you see an adult or an older person standing up, if you want to feel free to offer your seat. And then, like I said, come right here if you can't see, right there in the front. And we'll try and squeeze everyone in. Come right down here. Just sit down here. This sound is being piped into the hallway, down into the waiting area right there. So if you need to move out there, that's fine as well. If you are here for another agenda item that's not the bike part, we're going to ask that you possibly just wait out in the parking lot or wait out in the lobby as you come in, because I think we'll get your agenda item after the bike part because of the first presentation. So
2 people could always come out here and if you're voting right, we may
Okay, with that being said, we'll go ahead and let Chief Thomas lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this opportunity to come together as citizens of Pleasant Grove and to discuss the needs and the issues and the lifestyle that we live here in Pleasant Grove. We're grateful for the many blessings we have, for the country that we live in, and for those who have fought for our freedom and continue to fight and pay the price so that we can assemble. We're grateful for all that we have. We pray tonight that we can speak legibly and clearly with each other and be kind with each other, and that progress will occur. And these things we pray for in the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen. Scott, are there any changes to tonight's agenda?
We have an item, I think we already have a mark on the agenda, 10B, to be continued to next week. Oh, yes, and item 11A needs to be continued.
11A.
Yeah. And I want to have that maybe next week, but maybe the week after, so we just want to continue and definitely we'll get it back in front of it.
11A. Hold off on those. And then are we, let's see, did we move Dion's item to?
Yeah, so
The next one after
the
bike
item
ride.
after the presentation is item 9B.
You can always look
We
for
just recommend
that like that lighthouse.
Do that right after.
Okay, so we're moving 9B to under 8A. Okay.
So that'll be to 9A.
Hold on to that rod.
Oh, that's, yeah, 9A, okay. can I make get a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Can I make one other suggestion? I've had some public suggest that item 9B could be moved to 10 to have public comment. So I'd love to open that one up for public comment.
Sure.
9B.
No,
10.
9B.
Oh, 9D,
Yeah,
okay.
with that to just open it up.
Tina, can we do that since it hasn't been legally noticed?
Well, you're not holding a public hearing, you're entitled to open it up to public comment, you can choose at any time.
So just leave the agenda item as is and.
Yeah, it's already on 10, it says action items with public discussion.
No, it's under just action items ready for vote.
Yes.
Oh,
It's
sorry,
on there.
11, okay.
But the only thing is we're not opening up other items for this.
It's totally up to you.
As a
It's not-
council, we can open it up at any given time.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you have people that are,
I just wait till you got to the agenda items.
we'll leave it as is and then when we get to that agenda item, are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks.
All right, can I get a motion to approve tonight's meeting agenda with the changes as read?
Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we approve the agenda as written with the changes outlined. We'll swap items 9A and B. We'll continue item 10B to April 28th of 2015. And we'll continue item 11A indefinitely.
Okay, and then also, no
And
approval
we'll-
of meeting minutes from the budget.
And we'll strike, the minutes from the planning and budget retreat are not prepared yet. So we'll take those on the future meeting.
Okay, motion by Ben. Second. Second by Diana. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are now at the open session, part of our meeting, and this is where any resident or community member that has a question or concern not related to the agenda item can take a few minutes and express their concern or questions or ideas to pass to the council. We do ask that when you come up to the podium, you give your name, and street address.
Jennifer Baptista, 32 North, 1300 East. As the council probably already aware, I've been involved with the county commissioners on an issue with the BRT that is a project for Orem and Provo. It's a $150 million bond and federal grant program. The commissioners voted 2-1 to move that process forward. So I am one of 7 that signed on to support a referendum petition. So I wanted to let the city know and the citizens know that we will be collecting signatures for the next 45 days starting Friday.
How many signatures do you have?
We need over 20,000 signatures.
Jennifer, is it electronic or?
No, it has to be all in person.
But that's the whole county.
The whole county, yes. It's a county referendum, so it requires the whole county. Any other questions?
Thanks, Jennifer, for that information. Anyone else for the open session?
I apologize for coming tonight, but I've worked on this all week, and so I'm going to present it. Donna Jolly, 1380 East, 150 North. I was here 2 weeks ago. Oops, sorry. Because I was talking about my bad road, and I'm going to continue talking about my bad road. If someone will pass those pictures up. And also that. I challenged, I'm sorry to take this time on the busy night, but I challenged anyone on the city council or city employees to come up my road and see if they wanted to live on my road. And I don't know if anybody did or not. Does anybody come up my road on 150 North? You did?
And it's.
My pictures are correct?
Your pictures are accurate.
But what I want to mention tonight is reality. And I checked with the city records to make sure I came up with the right date. And the day that our road exploded was about the 2nd of December. I believe someone called the day before, and then I called the next. When I was driving down the road, I saw this water boiling up. And so I hurried and called my neighbor and said, I don't have the city number on my mind, so would you call the city and tell them that there was water coming out of the road? And later, I found out that there was also a road that had burst on 1400 East. Now that one, the neighbor close to them said they'd heard water running, and then the road burst. I think it was the next day, when they called, they said that they were busy fixing another road. So I thought, oh, well, okay. So the next day I went down there, they came and they started working our road. They had to dig up, like I explained before, the width of the road and also some of my neighbor's yard. And we went out and I served them workers some cocoa because it was cold. It was December. And we talked and watched them and we saw the pipe come out all broken and some roots and so forth. And so we were watching it, me and the kids. And then I told you about the road on 14th East. Well, then not too long ago, then they started the construction on 350 North and 1350 East going north to the subdivision. I have a granddaughter that lives over there by there, and she told me of a nice little incident that happened up on 1350, 350 North. She said that they were working on a pipe and it burst, and Jane Robinson's car happened to be parked there by her son's home, and the force was so strong it broke the back windows of the car, and that happened to be the same week that her husband's funeral, and so that's just one of those incidents. Then they finished the road going over there on 1350 East and smoothed it out just as nice and even as can be, and then they patched 1400 East, and then of course it fell, and then they patched it again when they finished the road going over to 1350 East. And my granddaughter, when she came over, she said, "Oh, Grandma, they've got the road fixed up on 14th East." And so I went up there and looked at it. I thought, I can see my road from where they patched it. And I was a little curious why they didn't think to go down my road and patch that one also. And I thought, well, it's just a small road. Maybe that's the reason. There's only 10 people that live on my road. 2 of them faced 1400 East, but their driveways come out on 150 North. 2 of them faced 1300 West, but their driveways come out on 150 North. And then my granddaughter asked me to have a shower at my house in February. Brought a shower. So, okay. And then I thought, oh, my road. It's awful. But we did it. We had a shower. And then I realized at the shower, we had people from Arizona, Idaho, Lehigh, Alpine, Layton. I could go on. People that visit my road. Even though it's a small road, we have people from all over that visit my road. And so I got thinking, well, maybe it's important to get the road finished. Then I have sons. I have a son in Logan, Fillmore, Arizona, Provo, and one north of the Temple. And they tell me every time they come and visit, Grandma, you live on one of the worst roads in Pleasant Grove. And I says, well, I know it, but I don't know what to do about it. So Saturday, I decided to get up a petition, and that's the paper I passed out. I don't know how legal it is, but I visited people on my road, and I was surprised at some of the comments that they said. They said, oh, this is the worst road. I wish glad somebody's doing something about, hope somebody was going to do something about it. And then one of them said, and I wouldn't come up with the idea, they said, well, if they're going to have a bond, if it's for to fix the roads, then I'd vote for it. And I thought, well, I don't know if I would or not, but I knew, no, the roads need to be fixed. I was surprised how everybody quickly signed it. And then I feel, to finish my remarks, I feel that it is the responsibility of the city to make sure our roads are in good working condition. I've seen them maintain the roads on the freeway. They don't let them roads go bad. I've heard people say, oh, no, you can't fix the roads. They're just not worth it. That's going to cost too much money. Well, the problem is not going to go away. It's going to just get worse. I feel that the city needs to check their budget, tighten their belts, and spend money on things that are priorities. And I think the road is a priority. I could mention the $80,000 that was spent on the rec center a year or so ago without batting an eye, or $50,000 spent on getting the guy to come up with a great and spacious building without batting an eye. All I can say is I think the city council needs to reevaluate, and I think the most important thing to the people, and I think that should be on the ballot this year. I suggest putting on the ballot, what is your favorite worst road in Pleasant Grove? Thank you.
Well, the good news is, I think a lot of residents.
And I'd like you to pass the papers around, the pictures.
I just pass them to the, do you want me to pass them to the residents as well? Or we just pass it amongst the
We've
council?
all read them here.
And then I pass your pictures as well to the.
I have
council.
another copy, so
Do you want me to pass these to residents?
if they'd like to see them,
We
yes.
can pass them.
And probably a lot of them live on roads like mine.
Would you like the petition passed around as well, Mrs. Jolly? Actually, Mrs. Jolly,
Yes.
can you come back to the podium just for a second so we
Oh,
can,
okay.
just want to make sure that,
I have hearing aids, so sometimes it's,
that's okay. Would you like this passed around as well so people can see the petition? Or just amongst the council here?
well, I have another copy if they want, if anybody else
Okay,
wants to see
we'll
it.
leave this up here in case anyone wants to come and see after the meeting. The good news is I don't want to go so far as good news, but the council and the residents feel the same way you do. And earlier this year at our budget retreat, we talked extensively about our roads, and we've done a pavement management plan, which is available on our city website, and we have a plan in place to move forward with the roads. It's not going to happen overnight, but it is happening, and the council and mayor and staff is taking action to fix the roads in our city. I can't give you a date right now because it's going to be a long process, but we are addressing the situation. There was some good news that came out of the state legislature, and hopefully we'll be receiving some more funding this year to go toward our roads quite a bit more.
Yeah, I think that needs to be in the budget.
And we will be receiving, funds to help us do that. So this year we will be rolling out that plan to help fix our roads because we agree with you on that issue, and so do many residents. We'll be doing whatever we can to help resolve your issue. And I don't have a time frame for you, but just know that we are working on that. We have, like I said, we have the pavement management plan, and we're moving forward with repairing the roads in our city.
Well, I know mine road isn't the only bad road.
Definitely not.
And two other comments I might make while I'm right here is I met someone while I was going around with the petition. He said he'd been to San Francisco and was complaining about San Francisco roads until he came here. Then I met someone who'd come from Texas, and they says, oh, yeah, the roads are really bad. So I know we are not famous for our football team, our basketball team, or even Strawberry Days. We are famous for our bad
I don't
roads.
know, I might disagree with this about Strawberry Days and our athletic teams. They're amazing. So, but
Wait, okay, so one more thing. So is on the ballot, so it'll either, so I'm still learning about what the possibilities are here. But in the legislative session, they passed House Bill
362.
362. And what that was is a combination of a rise in sales tax and also in,
Well, so it was an increase in the gas tax.
but those have to go to the ballot.
That's from the
either
state.
this year or next year.
One of them, but the gas tax
So-
happened.
can I explain it?
Yeah, let's do
Let's let Tina explain House Bill 362.
So the legislature did two things. The first thing they
Your
did.
mic's not on.
Can you hear me now? The light's on.
I know. Lights on, but no one's.
Okay, so the legislature did two things this year. The first thing they did does not require anything else, no more legislative action, and that is the hike in the gas tax. So there will be an increase in the gas tax, which I believe we are anticipated to see a couple $100,000 worth of increased revenue towards our roads in our city as a result of that. The second thing they did was House Bill 362 made it possible for counties to enact and put on the ballot a quarter-cent option sales tax so that there will be a quarter-cent on everything you buy, not just gas, but everything you buy in the county. And that quarter cent will be divided between the city, the county, and the UTA or rapid transit, mass transit. We will get 0.10 of that, and it's anticipated that that could mean anywhere from, I've seen different figures, but anywhere between $400,000 and $600,000 more dollars a year for the city of Pleasant Grove individually to spend on our roads. The option tax is what needs to go on the ballot, and the county must make the decision whether or not to put it on the ballot in 2015 or whether they're going to wait and put it on the ballot in 2016. So that portion of the funding we may not see right away until it is on the ballot and adopted by the voters. The gas tax portion we will see relatively soon. Okay.
So,
Yeah,
so
well,
what
I-
that means is, right now, we're spending about $500,000 on our roads.
Well, I know on the new roads they are.
Okay, that's what the budget is for the roads right now. So with the possible, so what happened up on the Capitol this year is that they made it possible that we could have $1.5 million. We also have some bonds that are retiring. So we have one bond that we pay for, and that payment is $750,000 annually. So that bond retires in a year. So when that retires, that $750,000 will also be included. So our road fund mechanism is growing. So it makes it so that we are a little bit more able to spend more money than we have in the past.
Well, my question is this going to be on the old roads or the new roads?
All roads.
Because the old roads are the ones that,
And we actually have a plan to address those as part of our pavement management. One other thing I wanted to address with you, Mrs. Jelly, is Tina, can you please speak to how a petition works, a petition like this?
that really mainly is just for information because I don't know how legal it is.
A petition like that has no force or effect legally. It's simply a mechanism for a resident to let you as the elected body know that there are certain individuals that have an interest in a specific topic. It doesn't have any legal binding effect whatsoever.
But,
Yeah.
but residents are welcome to bring that forward to the council at any time.
Okay. So
Well, like I say, I was surprised.
99% of our, I'm gonna say 100% of our residents.
And I'm glad that you went up my road.
But 44% of our roads are very, very bad. That's that actual.
I didn't realize it was that much.
Yeah.
No, I know that that's the big picture and that's our future as far as city planning and our roads and the direction we're going. But as I understood your concern, it was because there was a leak in the road at present.
Well, that's what dug up the hole.
That's what dug up the hole. So my question then is to maybe John, is how was that completed once that problem went away? Then how did we resurface or create that back to?
Well, it's just put on a list. It's actually at the top of the list. Will be fixed this week.
So it's gonna be fixed this week.
Well, I'll be out there with my balloon. Well,
That's an issue different from the big picture of our roads and our bad roads. This is an issue that you had an issue. It needs to be fixed, it needs to be repaired. So that will be done next week or
Thank
this
you.
week.
thank you.
Thank you so much. And next, Ms. Kelly, next time someone says something about the road, say, you know what, we have the longest running celebration in the history of Utah. The state championship.
I know that. I've been here 40 years.
We got it. Focus on the good. We'll go far. Anyone else for the open session?
My name's Stan Williams. I live at 175 South, 1300 East, and this shouldn't take more than a minute or two. I just want something clarified on our secondary water that we've not been able to use. I noticed some mighty green lawns around the town. I'm willing to pay for the water if I can use my culinary water. Is that against the law or against the rule or whatever? Okay, because here is my dilemma with this. I would assume our reservoirs are all full now for our secondary water.
So the schools are using
Yeah, they use culinary.
They do.
Okay.
Valley View. They have their summer.
So my question is though, is that the reservoir at the top of Battle Creek is totally full. What happens to the excess water that comes out of there? I mean, that's full now. Is it sold back into a system? You know, like to the water users?
John Goodman.
Okay.
So the water doesn't belong to us yet.
Okay.
Well, and so we're filling it, and it is full. And if the citizens started using it right now, it would be empty by midnight,
Mm-hmm.
maybe sooner. And so we just try and fill the system early while the water is, it's not free, but we're allowed to use it.
Okay, so
And it belongs, once it's full, it just continues on its course to Utah Lake where it belongs.
okay, and then so it's not being sold to any other entity. It's not going back into the
No.
Murdoch Canal or anything. So that water's being wasted. Okay, so
Somebody has rights.
Yes.
People have rights to that water. in
Right.
Utah Lake. So
Well, I
we're
understand that,
obligated to let it keep going down there.
okay,
But by law, we're obligated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there are shares that have already been purchased.
okay. But if it's not available from us, they have to get it from somewhere else in the water system somewhere, from Strawberry water users or wherever it is. Okay, so at least it's not being sold to somebody else, because I don't really care for being charged for a drought tax surcharge. I don't care for paying $40 a month for my water that I can't use, and to be told that if I do use it, I will be warned, fined, and then shut off, when I'm willing to pay for culinary water or whatever to water my lawn.
And that's
So-
right. So you can use the culinary. You will not be charged, you'll only be charged or fined if you're using the water on the day that you're not scheduled to be watering. So you're not gonna be charged to use the water in general. It's on the day that you're not scheduled to water.
Even on using the culinary water?
Culinary use anytime.
Okay.
But the secondary water, you can have a designated day based on your address. So you can
Right.
also charge on your
Okay.
regular watering day.
So that must be how all the green lawns are doing it then?
You don't have to apply for it with culinary.
Okay,
Because now, wait first, the secondary water will be turned on, and you can start watering your regular watering system.
okay.
Um,
So can I do a commentary then? Okay, so in all of my frustration with this, we're told that we are in a drought, but I see hundreds of high-density housing going in that are allotted 5,000 gallons of water minimum a month on their water. And in my own opinion, for what it's worth, as long as we are able to still provide building permits and supply the water, there is not a shortage. Until there is a building moratorium, then we have a drought. And that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Actually, the high density, West of Macy's are not on secondary water.
So they will all be using, well, of course, they don't have yards to really water, but it's just that there is plenty of water to allocate 5,000 gallons to every one of those hundreds of things. So, okay, all right. And so our surcharge is just on the secondary, is that basically? So anybody that's not on that, are they paying, okay, but they're not paying the drought surcharge then?
I don't believe they're paying the drought surcharge if they're not on secondary water, is that correct, Scott?
They shouldn't be.
Okay.
And just to clarify, when these housing groups come in, or the high-density housing, they're required to bring water to the city to account for that. They bring new water to us to go into our system. So this isn't necessarily, they're not necessarily using your water.
Right.
They're required to bring their own.
Of course, but it's still available. No matter how much building we do, that we can get water from somewhere.
That water wouldn't be available to us if they did not bring it to us when they developed.
Well, I understand that part
So
too,
that's
but
all I'm saying is that our general practice is when development happens, they gotta bring water with them. We don't add residents and then try to figure out a way to provide them water. They're
right. So there's water available. That's,
Okay.
thank
so
you. Okay,
What
go ahead.
was changed?
All right.
This is my soapbox, you ready?
Okay.
Okay, so when everybody, so, and I know this is not important to the bikers, but, when Pleasant Grove residents were using culinary water on their lawns
Mm-hmm.
and paying for it, they used 2.2 gallons per minute per acre foot.
Mhm.
When we had a base set point, and they weren't paying it by the gallon, they were paying it by their lot size.
Mhm.
We started using 7.7 gallons per minute per acre foot. 2.2 paying by the gallon, base rate 7.7.
Mhm.
So we have to get back down to the 2.2. Okay, everybody nod your head. Okay, we got it.
Well, I appreciate the explanation and the clarification for me. I live on 1.07 acres. I pay for excess of 1 acre. A third of my lot, I don't water. My garden, I do drip. I don't even come close to using what my allocated amount for my lot is. So anyway, thank you guys.
Do you have any other questions? Have you answered everything
Oh.
for you?
As soon as I sit down, I'll remember.
Come up after. Thanks. Anyone else for the open session?
I just want to ask, does Valley View really use culinary water?
Well, there's one just right upstairs.
That's ridiculous.
John, Scott, what?
I have to check. I know the high school uses culinary.
To water.
To water?
They're switching some of it, but right now, a large part of their area is on culinary.
So I mean, not to open any kind of words here, that we need to look into that and have some, not now, I don't want any further discussion, whatever, but let's look at that and see what these big users are. And anyway, so let's maybe have a.
We just hold them, whether they're on culinary or not.
Right.
Generally speaking, we try to keep them on the same watering schedule.
Okay.
If they're watering right now, they're just watering right now because they're on culinary.
Okay.
Secondary technically is not up and running.
Yeah, and I have a lot of questions, maybe have that as a discussion or later, not tonight.
About the churches and schools, the large water users.
Not tonight. Thanks.
Okay, anyone else for the open session? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the open session and bring it back up here to the council to approve the consent agenda items. These are items that have been discussed beforehand, are non-controversial and do not require further discussion. This includes our city council meeting minutes, and the consider for approval payment request number 4 for SNL Incorporated for the China Field Softball Complex Phase 2. Does anyone have any questions about those, or
I was gonna make a motion.
do it?
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items, both A and B.
Motion by Cindy,
I'll second.
second by Ben, all in favor? Aye. Okay, we're going to move on to item 7A, which is the board, commission, and committee appointments. And we're considering for approval the appointment of Peter Still as a planning commission alternate member. Who's presenting that? Stop.
It's just in your packet
Okay.
and.
Is he here
Is he
tonight,
here?
Mr. Still?
I don't know if Mr. Stitt's here.
Okay, so we all received his bio in our packets and his application for the planning commission. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the appointment of Mr. Still to the planning commission as an alternate member?
I move that we approve the appointment of Peter Still as a planning commission alternate member.
I'll second.
Motion by Diana, second by Ben, all in favor?
Aye.
Now the moment you all. We are going to have a presentation now on the bike park design presentation proposal. Our Park and Rec Director, Dion Giles, is going to start the presentation. No pressure, Dion.
You can't stare at me the whole time. No pressure. I'm about ready to pass out. It's hot in here.
Everybody bend your knees just a little bit.
I want to sit up there with the kids. So tonight we'd like to present to you the Bonneville Shoreline Trail System.
Is that on?
It's on.
There we go. So there's people on the hall. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
The Bonneville Shoreline Trail Bike Park and course concept that we'd like to present tonight. So to start off, I'm going to give a little history, and then I'm going to turn some time over to Jason, who called me to see what shirt I was wearing.
It doesn't say biking. Though.
I know. But I'll turn some time over him for his presentation, and then I'll come back and talk a little bit about the funding. So 2012, Pleasant Grove City obtained a grant from MAG, the Mountain Land Association of Governments, to produce and look into a master trail plan for Pleasant Grove City. We came up with this, or we started the process in December of 2012. The development of the master plan focused on strategies to develop a high level of bicycle and pedestrian friendliness and make connections between key destinations within Pleasant Grove and among the surrounding areas. 1 year later, the city adopted the Pleasant Grove Bicycle and Pedestrian Master Plan. During their process, we evaluated previous plans, existing conditions, completed an online survey, 2 open houses, which were held in March and September 2013. Some of these plans we looked at, one was the general plan taken in 2007, and it listed priorities for trail development: Battle Creek Trailhead, the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, and Trailhead Parks. It included an upper reach and a lower reach of the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, which would accommodate pedestrians, bicycle, and equestrians. 2009 Transportation Master Plan suggests coordinating and interconnecting trails with adjacent cities, county, and Forest Service. The adoption of 2013 Bicycle and Pedestrian Master Plan identifies the Bonneville Shoreline Trail as a connector with Cedar Hills, Linden, and the Forest Service. The bike park would connect the Bonneville Shoreline Trail and the Murdoch Trail, which connects to multiple cities and other trail systems. The plan also recommended the bike park location of the Wade Springs area for several reasons: proximity to the Murdoch Trail, ownership, terrain, existing facilities at Wade Springs Trailhead on the Murdoch Trail, the future space to develop additional facilities, and a permanent water source. Jason Calley approached Councilmember Sid Lamone last September to see where we were on the bike park and proposed additional trail development. Since then, we've been meeting pretty regularly and have come up with what we feel is a pretty good plan. So it's a multi-use trail system: equestrian, bike, hike, those types of things.
When you say bike, mountain bike, not
Mountain bike, yes. We've had discussions with the Forest Service and the need for the Bonneville Shoreline Trail along the foothills of Pleasant Grove for their master plan of trails and their desire to complete a multi-use trail system from Draper to Provo. One of the big problems the Forest Service and we are having is the illegal trail building on our properties. We hope to gain the support of these individuals and the groups to help us develop our trail systems and building sustainable trails. Last week, staff attended the first Utah Valley Trails Bike Committee meeting, which had representation from multiple cities, MAG, Forest Service, and bike groups. There's a lot of interest to design and construct multi-use trails along the Wasatch Front from Draper to Nephi. So in just a short period of time of talking with the Forest Service, it's gone from Squaw Peak to Draper to Nephi to Draper. So there's quite an interest. One of the reasons is this being the front is the season's longer for the bikers. Up the canyons with the shade and the snow and things like that, their season's pretty limited. So 3 months compared to almost 9 months along the front. This year we could have had pretty much all year long. So this group's going to meet monthly and we'll be designing trails that connect communities, county, and Forest Service lands. MAG's offered their service to provide the support and some funding to move forward on the design. I'd like to mention the support of Lori Harwood. I think she's here. All right, raise your hand. So Lori's attended a few of our meetings. She is the executive director of the Utah High School City Cycling League. She's been a huge support of the project, bringing ideas, experience, and fun of IMBA, which is the International Mountain Bike Association, has been working with them on the initial proposal. The current proposal consists of phasing the project. Phase 1 includes Grove Creek Trailhead to the Cedar Hills border. Phase 2 would be the bike park facilities. Phase 3 would be Battle Creek to Linden. And Phase 4, which is our biggest hurdle, I believe, is Battle Creek to Grove Creek due to the property owners, landowners in that area. Not that they're against it, but there's a lot of them that we'd have to deal with. So tonight we just kind of want to discuss Phase 1. The proposal to design all of the facilities, but only develop the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, bike course, and trail system through the bike park. So for now, we will only be doing the multi-use trail and denying access to the off-road vehicles. As funding becomes available, we will address the bike park physical facilities and amenities such as the parking lot, restrooms, pavilion, pump track, jump track, kids park, and skills park. We will utilize the trailhead and restrooms at Wade Springs, Murdoch Trailhead, and the Grove Creek Trailhead until we can fund and complete the facilities at the bike park. The order of phasing may change due to the need of constructing the Bonneville Shoreline Trail prior to completing the bike park. So just a few bullet points on phase one. We've identified 9 locations that we need to address off-road access. We'll need to work closely with the water department, being that Wade Springs is a culinary spring. We'll need to look at signage for the multi-use system, agreements with the landowners prior to any construction. So this time, I'm going to turn it over to Jason, and then I'll come back when he's done. So.
Okay, well, Dion hit a lot of the points that I was going to hit, so maybe I can shorten this up just a little bit. Do I need to introduce myself? You need that? Okay, so I'm feeling a little like Kevin Bacon in Footloose, so that's kind of cool. But my name's Jason Cowley. I live at 582 East, 780 North here in PG. I'm the head coach of our Pleasant Grove Biking Vikings. That's our high school mountain biking team. So primarily, I've been asked to come and talk about 2 important things. One, what is a mountain bike park? What are we talking about putting in people's backyards here? And number 2, why, given all of the needs of the city, given the political culture and climate that we're in right now, why would we even want to consider something like this? So let's start off with what is a mountain biking park. And as Dion mentioned, I just want to say and reiterate for everybody's clarification, the vast majority of mountain bike parks are actually multi-use trails. We're talking mountain biking, hiking, trail running, equestrian use, and family picnics, whatever you want to go out and do. It's a nature park is maybe a better way to put it, a trail system in a nature park. So I'm going to focus a lot on cycling. That's what I do. I'm a mountain biker. I coach mountain bikers. But please don't forget that important point as we go through here, okay? All right, so what does a park look like? These pictures, these slides right here will give you a good example of what kind of trails we're talking about putting in. We're not talking about paved trails. We're not talking about bringing in materials. We're not talking about actually expanding the destruction that's happened up there, which we'll talk about in just a minute. We're talking about thin single-track trails with a few dirt roads, that most of which are already existing up there to allow access for emergency vehicles and that kind of stuff. So our park is going to be no different. It's going to look just like that. In fact, most of these shots were taken very near to here. So I do want to call out, as Dion mentioned, that IMBA will be helping us. If you don't know IMBA, feel free to Google them. They are the most recognized trail building group in the world for building sustainable, environmentally friendly, and erosion-resistant trail systems. Okay, so and that's what we're talking about putting up here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what we're talking about in trails. This is a nice little map that I put together just to kind of point out and illustrate something. These are the improved trails that exist in our area from American Fork Canyon. I wonder if this little thing works. Does this work? Yeah, from American Fork Canyon to Provo Canyon. Notice any gap in that trail system. Okay, there's only one gap. It's our foothills. Okay, that's pretty embarrassing, actually. I add this little red line in here because that little red line indicates where the Bonneville Shoreline Trail should exist. It should be an improved single-track trail that matches either side of it. And in fact, Dion mentioned the length of the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. If you actually go look it up, the Bonneville Shoreline Trail should run from Nephi to our border with Idaho, a distance of 250 miles, and be interlinked. That's the goal for the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. We currently are the gap hole in the middle of that. And the reason why that's important is because all of these other trail systems can't be accessed from our city without getting on these really nasty dirt roads, which I will show you what they look like in just a second here. All right, as Dion mentioned, no, that went backwards. Hold on.
Are we the only gap, Jason?
We are the only gap at the north end of Utah Valley. There are other gaps for sure. Most of Salt Lake from Draper on up is getting their parts done, and it runs pretty, I'm going to say pretty consistently up kind of to the area of the zoo, but there are some gaps in there. So we're not the only gaps.
there's an entire Bonneville shoreline group working on completing this.
Yes, as Judd just mentioned, there's a whole Bonneville Shoreline Coalition Alliance that is working on making this all happen. I'll skip through this one really quick. It just illustrates the phasing that Dion mentioned. And we are going to focus primarily on phase one. And this kind of shows where phase one will be. It gives a little kind of conceptual outlook of where it will be. Now, in front of you, there's two bound items. You guys probably leafed through them a little. I want to call out that those are concept designs. Ultimately, IMBA will be doing the full designs. These are just the conceptuals to use to kind of show what the park may look like, okay? And as we zoom in here, this actually takes us and shows us from Grove Creek down to where we project that the main part of this phase one will end, which is right at our border with Cedar Hills. I know there's been some questions about parking. I want to hit that topic really quick. Actually, parking will exist at the 1100 North, which is right in that area. The 1100 North trailhead for Murdoch Canal. The Canyon Road trailhead for Murdoch Canal, which is right about there. And the Grove Creek parking lot, which as you can tell, those are all pretty equidistant from the park. I know there's been some concerns that the Grove Creek trailhead is going to be overflowing. The good news is those other two trailheads are actually probably the ones that will be more desirable to use. They're closer and they're easier to access the trails from. But we already have 3 trailheads, 3 bathrooms already existing. We don't have to build anything. If parking becomes an issue down as we get down the road and it starts getting utilized, phase 2 has plans to be able to allow us to expand and add 2 more trailheads if necessary. So keep that in mind. And one more slide I want to show here where we talk about what the cycling park will be. This slide is just showing the land ownership, okay? And I want to point this out for 2 reasons. One, if you'll notice this yellow area up here, this would be the drainage basin at the mouth of Grove Creek Canyon. We have received already verbal approval to level that and use it as event parking so that big events or any race events that come in will not be impacting the neighborhoods. They'll actually have a whole lot that we can use to have them parked down in. The second reason why I want to bring this up is to let you know that we have already approached all of the landowners in this area that will be impacted by the park. And they have already given not just their verbal agreement to allow us to build trails on their property, but they are excited to allow it and will allow it for no charge. So let's keep that in mind. That's a huge donation coming from the landowners in this area that are willing to do that for us. I think there's about a half a dozen, roughly. Most of them, for clarification, most of them fall into kind of corporations. The big pink area, for instance, is the Metro Water Users Association. They're the ones that own that road and they own the aqueduct.
There's everything from Metro to private landowners.
Yeah, there's everything from Metro to private. Well, there's even the big blue area is PG City. So there's everything from the city to businesses to private landowners. And we've approached everyone that's going to be impacted. There's a couple more that we'd like to get some approval from to put even more trails out on. But for now, everyone that will be impacted with our current ideas have been approached and are interested in letting us do this and move forward with it. All right, before I move on, is there any questions about what we're talking about before I get into the why we're talking about this?
So it will be considered the Bonneville Shoreline Trail.
It will, yes. In fact, the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, if I just pop this back one, if you can see the dark blue line that runs from here, goes up over here and comes along there, that is the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. And that'll be the interesting thing about that is that'll be the eastern connector road, and the Murdoch Canal Trail will be our western connector road, and all of the trails will be able to connect us in between them.
So we're
Yep.
basically connecting the dots.
Exactly. That's exactly what we're doing. Yep. Yep. Anything else? Okay, let's get into the why, because that's what we have a lot of controversy about. Why do we want to do this? So let me jump down here. Okay, so I got a lot of reasons why. I'm going to focus on 3 because we have limited time and you guys don't want to hear me yap forever. So these are the 3 that I personally feel are of the greatest interest and important to our citizens at this point. The first one I want to talk about is environmental stewardship. I don't know how well you guys are familiar with that area, but I want to point out a few things. First thing, our foothill corridor, that's our marquee feature of our city. Everybody knows our city. Every picture of our city, every marketing material we send out, everything we do focuses on our foothill corridor. Guess what our foothill corridor is starting to look like? Okay, cut trails, ATV destruction. There's garbage sacks. There's couches. This is what's happening. This was all taken in one ride 2 weeks ago. I went on one bike ride 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I guess that's what we're biking here. Okay, I have run across dead animal carcasses, carpeting. The trails, these ATV trails are getting wider and wider and rougher because they're being hit in the mud. They're being hit and quite frankly, they're illegal. The vast majority of them are illegal up there. We're supposed to be Utah's city of trees. How many trees are we missing from this picture right here? And it's getting worse every year. Okay, what could we have? How about that? If you think that's not a reality for our foothill corridor, that was taken less than 15 miles from here in Alpine. That's what we could have. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple more pictures of what we could have. These are our kids riding out at Lambert's Park. Okay. Hi, Kim. This is what we could have. Instead of having our wildlife being impacted, instead of losing our trees, instead of turning it into a dirt and garbage heap, we could protect this area in a way that allows for open public access. We're not talking about shutting it down so the environmental tree huggers can come in and keep us out. We're actually talking about building something that allows the public to access it and use it and still maintains the beauty of it. Okay? All right, let's talk my next point here. And I'm going to kind of hit two together to make this next one. We're going to talk a little bit about an economically sound way to support our citizens' interests. Okay? First off, I don't think there's any doubt or any controversy that the Murdoch Canal is vastly popular. Maybe one of the most popular things that's happened to our city in a decade, right? It's popular. Go up and visit the Grove Creek Trail and the Battle Creek Trail at any given day and see what kind of people are utilizing it. This is the kind of recreation our citizens really want. It's the kind of recreation that they're getting out and using on a daily basis, okay? In addition to that, I want to call out the number of people I was able to rally to come show support. If you have not had a chance to look, we have people lined down the hall, out the door, all that have come here to tell you that from within the city, they want this. From people that are from out of the city, they will come here to use this. Okay? That's going to be an important point I'm going to make about people that come in from outside of our city to use that. I'm going to make a big point on that in just a second here. In addition to that, these people have come with their time, willing to be here with their time. I've had dozens agree and come to me and offer to donate their time to help us build the trail, a volunteer effort. I've had over $10,000 offered in private sponsorships to help fund this park, and the landowners have agreed to let us use the land free of charge. If that doesn't give you enough to understand the citizen interest on this, I don't know what else I could possibly do for you. Okay, next up I want to talk about my team because I love my team. The PG Biking Vikings last year were 30 strong plus coaches. This year we are doubling in size. We are moving to 60 riders plus a junior Devo team plus probably around 30 coaches riding on that trail. Okay, what trail? We don't have a trail. I have to go share trails with the American Fork and Lone Peak teams, or I have to go share trails with Timpanogos, Provo, Orem, okay? Let me put it a little bit in perspective. If each of these teams had an average of 50 riders, that's 150 riders plus coaches, all cramming into one trail system 3 days a week, okay? Would we build a baseball diamond if we had a baseball team 60 strong? Would we build a football field if we had another full football team ready to go? I mean, think about this. We're not talking about building multi-million-dollar complexes. We're talking about a little dirt trail system. It's not a lot. Okay, so the last thing I want to say about our team is this team and mountain biking in general provides a resource for our youth that I think goes underappreciated. This picks up youth who fall between the cracks. kids who are not into mainstream sports, kids who may not be into mainstream activities. We're working closely right now we're providing a sponsorship and a scholarship situation for the Hope for Utah Foundation through the PG Hope Squad to allow at-risk kids to come and join the team free of cost in order to give them a place to be. This is a powerful way we can affect the youth in our area and to help with suicide prevention. So remember that this park, while it has massive citizen interest, it makes a lot of sense, it also has a really good moral underlining to it. All right, so now I'm going to talk about some facts. We're going to go into facts because city council members want facts, not emotion. That's what I was told. So I've given you emotion. We are now going to go into facts. I'm going to show you two things. This one's going to first continue talking about citizen interest. This was and you've got a copy of this. This is that National Parks paper that you've got there that was done by the National Forest Service. And it says, what I want to call out in it is that recently they published this paper and they put 3 important facts that I want to call out. Now, there's a lot in there about crime prevention and all kinds of other things, but these are the 3 I want to call out. On average, nationally, property values near trail systems increased from between 1 to 6.5%. 88% of homeowners that live near the Bonneville Shoreline Trail report that they believe that the trail has improved the quality of their neighborhood. And the National Association of Home Builders and the National Association of Realtors have found that respondents ranked proximity to trails as the 2nd most important community amenity, placing it ahead of 16 others, including parks, shopping centers, and other amenities. Okay, so that's getting the emotion out. Those are the statistics found by the Forest Service about trail systems. Okay, now I'm going to move into the economic values. You should have in front of you a letter that was written by a guy I was just introduced to 2 days ago, who is a city councilman up in Draper. And if you're not familiar with Draper, Draper has what's called the Corner Canyon Trail System. Massive trail system, super popular. We're going to talk a little bit about what Draper sees as an economic boost to their city by having a trail system. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Feel free to read that letter. It is addressed to you, so that's why I've delivered you all copies. But I'm going to hit the one economic point that he makes here. And his name, by the way, is Councilman Jeff Stenquist. Amazing guy. Reached out to me, and it was awesome. But, quote, he says, "It is difficult to quantify all of the economic benefits and we're in the process of doing a more detailed analysis. But for now, here are some rough estimates. Numerous studies show that home buyers are willing to pay 10% more for a house that is close to parks and trails, increasing property tax revenues. Higher average home values have also helped us to attract businesses. I have had numerous people approach me to say that they purchased their home specifically for the close proximity to trails and open space. While higher in the summer and lower in the winter months, at an average of 100 visitors per day to the city's trails, and each visitor spending an average of $10 each visit, the city would see a $50 a day sales tax and approximately $20,000 annually. These figures would be much higher if they stop to spend money at a regional store such as IKEA or RC Willey. Larger events and races utilizing the city trails easily generate $500 in sales tax in each event. We hold dozens of events each year, including mountain biking, running, and equestrian events." I'm going to put this up here for you really quick too. As the city becomes known for its biking and hiking, it has supported our retailers, including a large and growing bike shop and a couple of running stores. And just this year, we've had 2 new bike stores open for a total of 3. A typical bike store will bring around $15,000 annually in sales tax revenue. Okay? When Dion gets up to talk a little bit about numbers, keep that in your mind, that we're talking right now for Corner Canyon in excess of $275,000 plus increased property values yearly. Okay? Well in excess if you count the events, which are not even being counted in there. Okay? All right, so on top of all of that, and that's just property tax. That's just, sorry, not property tax, sales tax. That's just sales tax. That's not considering anything else. On top of that, Draper City charges a use fee for large events, which is between $2 and $5 a participant. And a modest mountain bike event could bring as much as $500 in fees. So keep that in mind as well. Being extremely inexpensive to build and even more inexpensive to maintain it makes a lot of sense for our economic sense for our city to look at this kind of a trail system. Between the tax revenue, the use fees, this park could be making money. It'll easily cover its own expenses and could be making money for the city within the first year or two. And it can continue to be a revenue generator for the future. So we not only get the benefits that come with providing healthy lifestyles and meeting the wants and the desires of our citizens, but we get an economic boost as well. Okay, one more point. I'm winding down here. One of the features, and my third point is to make Pleasant Grove a destination city. Okay, I hope that means something to you, what destination means. Right now, I view Pleasant Grove as a drive-through city, right? With the exception of when Strawberry Days is going or something like that. But for the most part, on a day-to-day basis, we're a drive-through city. Sure, we're a cycling-friendly city, but there's no reason for somebody to just come to Pleasant Grove to do anything, right? This changes that game. One of the features that will be included in the bike park is a race course built to meet all of the standards of the National Interscholastic Cycling League, and that's Lori's here representing the state chapter of that national league. The Utah Division of the League is already committed to help us build this and to use it as a race venue. And I want to give you an idea of what it will mean to have a yearly high school race coming here. So I hope you'll bear with me for just a second. I'm going to play a very short video, and it documents the 2014 season from last year. I want you to pay particular. I'll go back to the mic. I won't get the mic, but I got to sneak up here and start. I want you to pay particular attention to how big the event is, because that's important for you to consider. What the trails look like and how the events look managed, and watch out for a bunch of these kids that are all being shown in the video as well. So, and this will show you all. This is just the state of Utah. This is just what happens in the state of Utah. Nope, I don't get it. Sorry. Heavy difficulties, I apologize. I had to bring in my own system. Do you want me to call ours out when they come up? That's one of ours. Yeah, there's no booing at our races. These take place all over. I can give you all the different destinations. There's 5 different venues featured here. That's one of ours. Woo!
Or even just the power in your legs on a climb, you feel like you're on top of the world.
That's one of ours. Okay, I'm going to stop us halfway through because I know we're kind of pressed for time. There's a whole nother half to that. And if you want to watch it later, I'd be happy to show it to you. It's amazing. Did you get a feel for the size of those venues? Did you see all the tents? Every one of those tent areas represents a high school. Now I'm going to give you the numbers. Last year, there were 5 events held around the state, represented by 62 high schools and over 600 athletes. This year, the High School Cycling League expects to continue their trend of the last 3 years of 30% growth. Think about that. That is thousands of visitors coming to our city, needing hotels, needing food, needing gas, needing bike repairs, getting to see our amazing park, coming early, weeks early to use it, to get their pre-ride in, and coming later back and bringing their friends to ride it when when they want to ride for fun. So we need to keep in mind that in terms of economic boost, in terms of making us a destination, this is a huge opportunity that we can't afford to let just pass us by. One last thing I want to mention on this topic, and then I'll wrap up. Pleasant Grove, this identity is going to create a differentiator between us and our neighboring cities. Okay, it gives us a place that we're a destination. It makes us the place in Utah County to go to do your mountain biking, not just a cycling friendly place. Isn't that a huge desirability factor for businesses? Hey, you know what? I can get on and do a Google search and I see this city come up as outdoor recreation friendly, hosting large events. Gee, I have a restaurant. Where do I want to put my restaurant? Right? So we'll actually have people coming here regularly for events and to ride. So before I close, I just want to turn a couple minutes over to a special visitor that has graciously agreed to come speak with us. I'd like to introduce Brad Peterson. He is the Director of Outdoor Recreation for the state of Utah, representing the governor's office.
Thanks, Jason. It's a hard act to follow. I don't know that I have it in me. And, you know, since I work for the governor, I have to divulge my conflict of interest that my daughter, I just signed up for 9th grade. So on the NICA team down in Salt Lake. So, you know, I come with that. Hopefully she'll be out there and hammering it. You know, one of the things I think that's interesting is if what I'm trying to do is actually the same thing that Pleasant Grove is trying to do. And I'm trying to do it across the entire state. In 2013, when the legislature and the governor actually decided to create the Utah Office of Outdoor Recreation, it's the first of its kind in the country, first time that the state of Utah has ever had it. And my goal is to go out there and do exactly for the same reasons that he's actually discussing. It's amazing to see what recreation infrastructure does for the state. Right now, for anybody who's aware of it, there's a statewide initiative called Envision Utah. And Envision Utah is looking across the state over the next 40 years when we're going to double in population. If we do nothing today except maintain our current recreational assets, we need about $450 million. If we maintain our current level of service, we need about $2.5 billion. And to actually match the growth of recreation as it's going up, because more and more people are participating, we need just over like $3.5 billion to $5 billion. And so, you know, this is where it starts. It starts at the ground level. It starts for reasons that exactly you're looking to invest in this. It's because of property values. It's because it's good for kids. When kids are out, guess what happens? We've quit focusing on trying to get adults out. We focus on the kids. And you know who goes to ride with the kids? The adults, right? So it's the best way to try to generate this new and healthy up and coming generation. So not only that, but from the legislature. So now what's going on with the new gas tax, actually one of the components of the gas tax is you can take a portion of that you would actually vote on and turn it towards trail development. The legislature just allocated to me that we're working on, where I just came from the Capitol, a $2 billion fund to go and support additional recreational infrastructure development, including trails for grant programs. It's just because there's nothing but good that comes out of them. There's nothing but improved communities, and it's better places for people to live. And that's why we're in here. And that's why I spend 70 hours a week all over getting to meet with amazing people like you. So thank you for your public service. And thank you for everybody who showed up today, because it's quite an event, and NICA is just an amazing thing for the state of Utah. Sure.
Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to Dion. Before I do, I just want to say and kind of make my little closing statement here. I believe this project is the very essence of what our city should be involved in and what our city government should be interested in. This is a project that's fully supported by a large number of your citizens. It's economically sound. It promotes public health and well-being. It revitalizes and protects the environment. Provides for the vast majority of its funding from avenues other than tax dollars, and brings in enough tax revenue to pay for its maintenance. What more do you need to be able to approve a project than that? So I've lived here in PG almost my entire life. I graduated high school here, and I plan to stay here mentoring our youth and teaching mountain biking and teaching them how to be happy and live healthy lives. I believe that promoting and completing a project like this will help heal some of the hurt and division that we have in our city by giving us something that we can be proud of. How cool would it be to say, yeah, I live in Pleasant Grove. That's right, the city with the really cool bike park. I hope that you guys can see the benefits of this proposal, and I'm asking you to please approve moving forward with this project, and any other future votes that come up. Please remember how important this is to us. Thank you. I'm sorry, I just took up so much time, and I knew the okay. I'll hang out here.
Are you still part of the discussion, or are you moving on to your?
I
Yeah,
can
this
still
is
answer
still part of the
questions.
discussion. So, not that Jason's excited about anything, but I'd like to thank him. He's put in a lot of hours, again, helping and bringing ideas to the table.
Well, and yeah, I'll speak, if I can speak that for a second. So back in September, I'm not even sure how we started communicating, Jason, but honestly, I've never met someone more passionate about a project. And in my 4 years on the council, this is like unbelievable how passionate resident can be. And this is what happens when somebody has that passion. This is hours outside of his regular job, putting the presentation and the research and contacting landowners and meeting with me and Dion and other people to make this happen. I mean, this is so much time and work that I don't know if anyone realized how much time you put into this, but this is what happens when someone is passionate with an idea that we can actually make things happen. And I've realized the government works very slow, but Jason has sped this process up by probably years because of his passion. And then also just the PG Hope, when he heard about this, contacting me and say, how can I sponsor a couple of kids? Again, that's just getting back to the community, but with your passion and helping others. And this is just a prime example of, we just need citizens to come out like you and just get excited about something, because they only make good things happen in our community. I appreciate how much time you put in, because I've seen it, our conversations in the meetings, like so much time and effort. So thank you so much, because if this passes, which I'm hoping it will, there will be so many people that benefit from this now and in the future because of your hard work. And so thank you so much.
So funding, that's always the question, right? So let me describe phase one a little bit for you. So we're going to bring in IMBA, have them design and help us flag and teach us how to build a sustainable trail. Part of this funding is for their design work. They fly out, spend a couple days, go back, do some design, come back, fly out, help us out, whatever it is they do, which is quite a bit, to be honest with you. And then there's other things. We're going to need to provide access, barricades, signage, tools, heavy equipment, those types of things. So I'm going to give you a number for what we feel, as we've thrown the numbers to it, for phase one, which is pretty much the design work and to get us started on this trail system from Grove Creek to Battle Creek. Now remember, this does not include the bike park itself. So that may be down the road years. We'll just have to see how that goes.
We might want to define that when he talks about the bike park, he's talking about additional trailheads, pump track. He's not talking about the trail
Right.
system.
The one that we had the concept for when we did the bike and pedestrian study or master plan. So the cost associated with phase one is $31,214. Again, this covers IMBA to come out and spend a couple weeks with us off and on, show us how to do this properly, do it the right way, keep the maintenance down, those types of things. So currently, we have an option or an opportunity to obtain a recreation grant from Utah County for $19,204. That's the next agenda item. NICA has offered the $5,431. And we have a private donor so far, which we're going to keep hounding people, but we have a private donor right now who's promised $5,000. So this gives our possible funding without any city expenses being at $29,635, leaving us about $1,500 short. So, and if we have to spend money out of that, that's not my goal. That will come out of recreation impact fees, which are set aside especially for this type of development. I really feel that with our community, I mean, I work with scouts, I work with church groups, I work with businesses almost weekly on service projects. And I'm just waiting to open this thing up because I have people wanting to do it. So I really feel that we can do this for even cheaper than what we've originally anticipated here on this phase one, and construct a multi-use trail system that'll be a benefit for not only Pleasant Grove citizens, but those who come enjoy our trail system. Just a note, 1100 North Murdoch Trail is the busiest trail system, or counter, sorry, we have counters throughout this. We have one on the Linden border and one on 1100 North, is the busiest intersection of any Utah County operated trail. So we have a lot of residents that utilize that.
So he mentioned that the state had grant funds available. Have we applied for state grant funds?
These are new to us. I think they're new to him, and we're going to jump on it once we
Yeah,
find that out.
The grant program is still being put together, so it should be done, I think, by June or July 1st, somewhere in there.
Okay, awesome.
That's our presentation.
We'll bring it back up here to the council for any questions, and this is not a public hearing, so we'll bring it back up here to the council for discussion. Really quick, I want to apologize to my report and LMP. I'm very competitive. But I bleed blue, so I apologize. You're great neighbors. We appreciate you. There's actually residents of Pleasant Grove that go to Lone Peak and go to American Forest.
So again, I apologize.
We appreciate your neighborship.
After watching that video, I want to ride those. Like, I want to take that, at least give it a try because it looks.
We'll take you with us anytime you want to go. So I'll get a bike and we'll throw you on it, and you'll get sold. You'll get hooked.
And I also need to give credit to Dion because he again has spent hours outside of his regular job in the city, being our Parks and Rec director, trying to come up with a plan and meet with Metro and Forest Service and the landowners and working really closely with Jason. So Dion has done an amazing job outside of his regular job helping to get this questions for Jason or Dion or governor's office or anyone else?
Just compliments in general. I mean, that was a fantastic presentation. It's really enriching to see the way that you tackle the problem too. I mean, the funding, you've made it so that we can't say no.
That was my goal. That was.
You've done a really nice job, and we love the way. I personally very much appreciate the way you tackle the funding and have already addressed a lot of questions and made it so that this is so easy to support because it's such a compelling value for our community. Thanks.
I only had two concerns, parking and cost, and you have answered both of those, Hadley. I am stunned at what you can do to get kids to come to a council.
That's the real question. You talked about the visitors. How many of those visitors that come to people will stay for a council meeting?
Why?
So I want to,
go ahead.
No, I just want to get over what they're saying. I have concerns over the parking and that type of issue, but it feels like you addressed that. I was concerned about the funding and what it would cost the city as far as funding is concerned. So I think you've addressed that. And I look around in this room and down the hall that I can't see, and I think there's a lot of volunteerism here that once we make this possible, then I expect all of you out, not only riding, but helping to work with providing the sweat equity to provide this for the community. And I'm sure knowing the exuberance that he carries, that he'll probably get you all out working on the trails. I think it's a great camaraderie.
Yeah, and just
I just wanted to respond to that really quick and just say one of the principles that comes through the Utah High School Cycling League and through NICA is teaching the kids trail building and trail maintenance so that they can learn to appreciate the effort and what goes into creating these great places for them to go play. So that is part of what we do.
Work hard, play hard.
That's right.
So, all of my kids have played a sport. And so I've spent a long time supporting teams. And so I know moms, I know what the village means. I know how important it is to have something in place where there are kids that have a place to go after school. And so to the parents, thank you for being here. It takes a village, and I know that that's kind of a bad thing with Hillary, but it does. And I am just grateful that we just build a room full of the village.
Well, we're a community.
We are. It takes a community.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
And one other testament to the enthusiasm is not just the crowds here, but we have been getting calls and emails, questions about parking, but also people just adamantly supportive of this project in general that wanted to make sure that we knew how much they cared and how much they supported us.
Okay, I think at this time we'll close up the presentation and move to action items that are ready for vote. We move 9B to now 9A, which is to consider adoption of resolution 2015-010 authorizing the Pleasant Grove City Parks and Recreation Department Director to submit application to the 2015 Utah County Commission Municipal Recreation Grant for improvements to be made to recreational facilities throughout the city. And this is, Dion, do you want to kind of introduce or add anything that you've said?
So this is a grant that we generally are allowed to apply for from Utah County. It comes in through the tourism section through taxes. It has to be specifically spent on recreation or tourism, and seeing as how we don't have a convention center, we'll spend it on trails, which is a huge plus. So pretty much the grant has to be to the county by May 1st, and then all the expenditures need to be completed and invoices turned into them for reimbursement by October 30th. So it's generally
Will it be done by that time?
yes. We'll be done with the design work by then. Whether I don't believe will be.
So you have to give us a timeline. Grant goes through, we get the funding as proposed. Give us a timeline on what we're looking at as far as when the trail building starts, when it can be used.
I'm guessing trail building will not start until later this fall, late summer, maybe even later than that. There are a few agreements that we need to come up with the property owners to make sure that their needs and our needs have been met. But yeah, I anticipate the process of design is going to take a couple months alone. And then by the time we get organized with volunteers and get the appropriate agreements in place, it'll be late fall. So this is a couple year project too. This isn't going to, I don't believe will happen overnight. Maybe Jason's going to pull the army in or something. I don't know. Yeah, next year we'll be.
Yeah, by next
planting.
Arbor Day, I'll be up here asking for more trails is what'll happen. And you guys will be like, I'm all for it. Look what it did.
So after Dion's explanation, we'll bring it back up again to the council. Any questions or comments on the resolution? Can I make a motion?
Okay, I move that we adopt resolution 2015-010, authorizing the Pleasant Grove City Parks and Recreation Department Director, Dion, to submit application for the 2015 Utah County Commission Municipal Recreation Grant for improvements to be made to recreational facilities throughout the city and providing an effective date.
Motion by Diana,
I'll second.
second by Ben, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do I need to do it by voice?
See what's the resolution.
A resolution? Come on, I'm throwing in for the. Let's get this. After my close to this. Is it? Okay. Okay. By voice, Diana?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Me, yes. Jay not here. Ben?
Yes.
Woo!
Okay. So moving forward, we have now authorized Dion to apply for the Parks and Recreation Grant in the amount of the $19,204. Is that correct? And which is a large part of the funding for the parks. If you apply for that, when will you know back? It's due by May 1st, but when will you know back if that's been approved for that use?
Generally, it's the end of May that we hear back from the commission. So we wouldn't want to start anything. I mean, we can start some groundwork, but as far as contacting IMBA and bringing them on board, yeah, no pun.
And then we'll make sure everyone knows when that grant comes through, and then we'll just continue working closely with Jason and the appropriate agencies and landowners to get the design started after if we receive that grant.
Yeah, and remember, this design is for the trails themselves.
Right.
So that's what we're going to work on this first phase.
Well, thank you all for coming tonight. Feel free to stay.
We're gonna talk sewer.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yes, we're gonna take a 10-minute break while everyone's clearing out.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in. Remember when I contacted you like way back, like a year and a half ago? I was like, who is this and that? Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, man. See you up, buddy? Yeah, that's me. How are you? Oh, nice. Wait, thanks for coming, man. Yes. See you later. See you. Thank you for coming. Yeah. Hey. Thank you.
Yeah. Let me know when you're ready. Next phase when it gets going.
Hey, John, nice. You did it.
I talked to you tonight. My husband Stan was calling the cops.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I have one question about all this. What are the maintenance? Like, do you have a cost in for the maintenance fees?
So on average, this is coming from Draper, and when I talk to them, they spend around $6 an acre.
Okay, I want to write this down because I like to hear it.
It's around $6 an acre. Hey, thanks for coming. It's around $6 an acre for the open trails, and I think they said somewhere around $750 a mile, roughly on the more improved trails.
Okay.
So put that in perspective, the way they did for me, they said that they spend over $10,000 a year on a single baseball diamond. So if you put that in a Parks and Rec budget, when you look at the budget, we're really not, right now we're not projecting any tax increase or any need to increase the parks budget. The current impact fees will cover it for the initial year or so. Hey, thank you, man. Thanks for coming.
Okay.
Yeah, so we don't expect any increase there.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's Stan Hu.
Oh, hey, Stan. Thank you. Hey, thanks for coming, man.
Hey, Jason, real quick. I just had a few people while you were doing your. What did people want to just donate? Are you
Yes,
gonna set up a fund? Is there
we can
anywhere-
definitely do that. I will Dion has to do it because it has to be to the city. But if you have people that are interested, where is
There's just been a few people that kind of whispered that out loud. So, well, what if we just want to donate?
Yeah. We can definitely. I'll let Dion know and we'll set
Maybe
that up.
if you hear something, put it on the bike team on Facebook.
Yep, I will. Thank you.
That was awesome.
Thanks, Dad.
Good.
Thanks, man. I thought you were $6 an acre in open land. And about between that and Oh, Taylor, hey, how you doing? Welcome. We got you all hooked up, right? Awesome. All right, I'm going to try and get everybody but I'll be out there soon. Hey, anybody who's waiting to talk to me, I'm going to grab my stuff and I'm going to move out so the city council can get their meeting to continue on. So just meet me outside if you'd like to visit. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Well, they haven't introduced us. Yeah, perfect. Good, perfect. Nice to meet you in person.
It's getting a lot cooler in here.
So out of all the stuff that we collect,
Brother, you're here. I've been hiding. Oh, yeah.
This looks like a little bit more like normal. At a different location.
So your folks are.
That 2-year commitment, they're a little crazy, but it's good. He was actually calling me when this meeting first started, so chances are my kids are playing with my iPad, and so once they saw, because it's Australia, they usually FaceTime, because then it's all over the internet and it doesn't cost us anything, it doesn't cost them anything, so they can FaceTime us as much as they want. So chances are, since I know my kids are playing with my iPad, chances are they answered it, because when it rings both my iPad and my iPad. So when my dad calls me on FaceTime, it will ring both devices. And considering it didn't ring only a couple of times, I'll bet you they picked up and talked to him, which is good. So they love talking to him. So, but right? They're doing really good. Really busy. That's how my dad prefers life. He likes to be busy. He likes to be very engaged on whatever he's doing. He wants to be very engaged. Yeah. It is good. What else is that? The sewer? What are they talking about on the sewer tonight?
Well, see the hill.
Oh, back to that.
Yeah. No, sewer line. City's willing to buy it or pay, you know. They just want to
On this one, where I got the yes and motion, I would say understanding the second.
So who owns the sewer? Peterfield does? But the residents of Peterfield, why did City Fields run the sewer?
well, it's a weird, how it's going on that, it's a weird kind of border.
Right. Yeah, and I know it's little.
Yeah, it's so they put sewer together one and because it
We're gonna go ahead and get started. We are on item 9B to consider awarding Condi Construction the bid for the 2014-15 sanitary sewer improvement project located on 100 West Queen Center Street, 400 North, and Dagan will be presenting this item. Yeah.
yeah, the other ones that.
Sorry, I need to. It's in the packet, so I don't have the amount. So we do, and we have our annual budget for sewer rehabilitation. We do our in situ form or lining of existing pipes. We also sometimes find that a pipe needs to be larger than it currently is. So this project on 100 West will go from 400 North down to Center Street. It is a pipe bursting project. So the contractor will actually pull a new pipe in through the existing pipe. They have a head that splits it, forces the old pipe out of the way and pulls a new pipe into its place. This is a little more disruptive. So the sewer lining project also cuts everyone off for a couple hours. This will be about a 12-hour disturbance at the outside edge. There'll be some traffic restrictions on First West. It's not a really big road, so it likely will be either closed during the work or down to one lane. So the amount.
Wait, so Dagan, do they expose the pipe?
Only if it goes wrong.
So they're
They go into the
So
manhole.
it's like a 4-inch or.
It's more, it's an 8-inch. So we install a minimum of an 8-inch line. So I don't know if we're increasing that to a 10 or if it's less than 8, it needs to be at 8. It's 4, so designers here, we're increasing it to a 14-inch. So from an 8.
8 to 14.
That's about as far as I can go.
Larger pipe through a smaller line and then expand it out.
Well, they have a cutting head that gets, so they have a cable pulling this through. And so the head actually splits the existing pipe into pieces and then forces it out of the way so that the hole is large enough to pull the new pipe through.
Any other questions or discussion from the council?
We do have a restriction that they do not work during Strawberry Days. We anticipate them starting after they have not made a final decision. So
We anticipate them starting after Strawberry Days.
that's the thought right now, but they have not finally decided.
They discussed it with me this week and said that is the current plan to start after.
It's the largest.
It's the largest learning celebration in Kansas history.
Yes,
We want to make sure that's not interrupted by any
yes,
work.
and we do
Work,
too.
work.
So as you can see, there were 4 different bidders. I can find my summary table. The engineer's estimate was in the middle. I've got it here. Libby. It's always nice to have the engineer's estimate not be the low bid. So the low bid was about $30,000 less than the estimate. So we are recommending that we award to Condi Construction. I'm having trouble with the number.
Okay, can I look for a motion?
You need a specific price.
You need a specific price. $365,900 even.
365,900.
Any further discussion or comments? Questions for Dagan? Okay. Looking for a motion? Anyone?
I move that we award Condi Construction the bid for the, do I say fiscal year 2014-2015 sanitary sewer improvement project located on 100 West between Center Street and 400 Homes
In the amount of
$365,900.
Motion by Diana. Second. Second by Cindy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm just saying all in favor on every single one. Is that right? I mean, you can just correct me if I don't even do that.
Number 10 items will be.
We're good. Okay. Okay, we're moving on to the next item, which is item 9C, to consider adoption resolution 2015-011, adopting the water conservation awareness and education plan. And Dion will be presenting this.
I don't know what I'm presenting. Just kidding. So last week we had the presentation by Nathan Gerber on the awareness and education plan. Master Gardener,
Gerber.
yes, Master Gardener. He did a great job with it, and we're just asking for approval of that plan. We can adopt that and move forward with the plan that it has outlined for us to move forward with. So.
Now I had a question. The one page that was in there from the city, I didn't see it in the packet.
Well, the one page was just me doing the supplemental things that we're going to do as a
Right.
city. That's not an official
We don't
part.
need to
This is
adopt
the
that?
beautification committee put this together.
Right, and that was presented last week.
Yeah, mine was just supplemental to say, here's some of the extra things we're going to be doing to make sure that we're
Okay.
covering stuff on our.
And that's where we talked about adding in that we were gonna do the water metering, that sounds like that's already happening.
Well, we're in process.
With, not with residents in general, with the city facilities.
Yeah, so the direction from the city council was to work towards getting meters on all city facilities.
Right.
So I talked with Greg Woodcox. He's working on creating a list of here's where we need the meters. Because we have different properties all throughout the city. And on that list, we'll say, here's the size meter that we need, here's how much it's gonna cost. We'll probably start with our largest water users, so we can start metering that first. We're hoping that we'll have that in the next couple weeks, the list. And then once we have the prices, we can come back and talk to the budget.
Prioritize.
Yeah, because if it's just, a few $1,000s, we can fit it into the current budget. If it starts getting into the $50,000 range or something, we might have to say, we're just gonna do these this year and some next year. So,
So that one pager, can we add that in there and then something, because it had on there multiple things the city was doing for water conservation, right?
Right, but that one page is not part of the.
Right,
plan.
Yeah.
right.
Okay, the one page was things that.
I just would want to keep that like for my general information, if somebody, this is the official water conservation plan from the beautification commission. But then I like that one page summary that you did, that was like kind of like a quick reference as to what the city is doing.
yes, so I can email that to you. To make it part of the plan, the beautification, this is.
We don't want to mess up theirs
No,
by adding that,
they've
yeah,
done their thing.
yeah.
And mine
That's
was,
fine.
mine was just more informational to say, council, here's what we've been working on.
Mhm.
So that because of the issues this year are a little more serious. I mean, they were serious last year, they were serious the year before, but we're almost hitting this point where there's a drought. And so that was some of the additional stuff that we were doing. but if you want, I can email that to you.
We're gonna go back, if it's still in our.
It's still in the
packets.
packet.
Okay, I'll just go back and,
Okay.
just knowing that we're adding in the water, but that's already taken care of. Okay. Questions or comments by the council regarding the resolution to adopt the water conservation plan that was presented last week by the beautification commission? Master Gardner Gerber.
So, yeah, there's a portion of the plan that is budgetary in nature. It talks about the 4,000 per year for up to 20 years from the city. That's a separate action that will adopt the budgetary.
That's
portion.
their recommendation. But
Right.
my understanding is that's their recommendation. It's up to the council whether you want to act on it.
Correct, and we've added that into the budget for this year, so, well, it will be coming forward, so.
Okay, good.
Any other questions or comments? And will this begin to be implemented? Maybe, I know you can answer this.
PBW's right here.
Okay, so if this is approved tonight, when will implementation of this plan start?
As quickly as we can, rally the troops to do the pieces that we have the manpower to do.
So it really could start this year. I mean, not in 100% full force,
No,
but.
They-
absolutely start.
They actually
handouts.
started last year.
Yeah, start handing out watering schedules and those types of things that are on that list.
And then again, if this is approved, we can get this on the city website tomorrow. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Okay, within a week.
No, we can email it to Trent tomorrow and he would have it up by tomorrow.
I'm just feeling like urgency because May 1st is coming. I think it would be awesome to get the word out that we have a plan in place. And,
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, if there's.
She's on it. No,
Awesome.
he's on.
Well, I'm on. I'll
Okay.
take care of that.
And then I clicked on the link for the beautification website.
Right.
But it was down, and I'm assuming because someone was making updates. Is that right? Or do you know?
I'm unaware of why it was down. I'll
Okay.
check into it.
Okay, I mean, that was a couple days ago, so maybe I haven't checked.
The
it.
beautiful.
What, the beautiful thought, yeah, okay. I'm, cause remember, we asked them to add FAQs and a couple things, and so
Yes.
maybe it was down while they were fixing that, so. It was just a really helpful website,
That's
so.
entirely possible.
Okay. Anything else from council? Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll look for a motion.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'll make the motion that we adopt resolution 2015-011, adopting the water conservation awareness and education plan.
Motion by Ben.
Second.
Second by Diana. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
By voice though.
By voice. Okay. Got it. By voice, Diana.
Yes.
Cindy.
Yes.
Me, yes. Ben.
Yes.
Okay. Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Dan. Okay, we're on to item 9D. We're gonna have a discussion and I guess take some public comment for the creation of a website enhancement ad hoc committee and appointing me as the chair.
We just kind
No?
of make a comment maybe before we get started.
Take the comment or not, or you make a comment?
Well, I'm going to make a comment,
Okay.
a recommendation to the council. You guys obviously are the decision makers because
Okay.
it'll be up to you what you want to do. Normally, when we set up a committee to do something similar to this, we do it administratively. I mean, we just set it up internally with employees or whatever. We've done this before with our website. We've set up each department having a representative sitting down and meeting with our webmaster and talking about ideas to enhance it and make it better. So what's being talked about is not necessarily a unique committee. I think the difference with this committee is that we might have a couple of citizens on it, where in the past it's usually just been internal. There will be a cost just for our webmaster's time. If we're going to use him a couple hours a week or 4 hours a month or 6 hours a month or whatever, we're talking about $100, $150 or something like that. So in my opinion, there's not a drastic cost to this committee. Now, I wasn't here when it was presented last week, so I don't know exactly what was said. I did see an email exchange with some concerns by a council member with some of those issues. So what I don't want for us as a city is that if we want to put a committee together to talk about something as simple as our website, that we have to come to the council and say, okay, we want approval from you to put that together. So with that being said, my recommendation is, can we just make this administrative committee, let us put it together, And maybe Sid's still gonna chair it. We've had council members on committees before. We have an economic development committee. We just have other committees and we have representation. So it just seems to me this could be just a little bit of a simpler process of saying, let's do the committee, let's get it figured out. Granted, this one's a little different because we'll have some residents on it. In my opinion, I don't know if that really changes much, but.
And
So
we'll
that's-
just ask for volunteers from the citizenry to be on it.
Well, whatever.
Or we'll
I mean,
ask
that-
or whatever.
Yeah,
It'll
to me,
be open
that's,
to whoever.
to me, I don't know if that's an issue. I don't know if we have 1,000 people that want to be
No,
on
I
this.
don't either. That's
I
what
don't
I'm
know
just
if we
saying.
have even one person that wants to be on it. To me, we have a website, we recognize we want to improve it and make some changes. I prefer we keep this process pretty simple. So that's kind of my recommendation to the city council, is that we kind of bring it back administratively and just let us as staff kind of work on it, bring it together. We might have council involved, we might have citizenry involved, but we can figure that out. That might be a little contrary to how you all feel, but that's just kind of my.
I think that sounds good. Yeah, so we'll bring it back up here for discussion, comments, questions.
Yeah, so what you're saying, Scott, makes a lot of sense in my mind. And I think the reason that I got calls about this particular item was that we were taking a different approach. We weren't handling it administratively. We were talking about involving citizens. Is that a necessary element? Should we have citizens involved? Can we do this with our employees? What's the right approach? And is the deviation from our normal procedures justified in this case? So I'm comfortable moving it back to an administrative procedure. I think that's a smart way to handle it.
And generally, when if we have involved citizens, we just call up a couple people we know that are interested. We don't necessarily put it on the website, say who's interested, give us a call. We know there's some people that might have some expertise in that field or whatever. Because to me, this is it's not a political issue. It's not something that, all of a sudden we have to kind of have this big open thing that, again, I don't know if we have 100 people that want to do this or if we have any. So to me, we just set the committee. We'll definitely have some employees involved. We have some employees that spend a lot of time on using the website and what it looks like. Excuse me. We have a council member who wants to participate. If we want another council member, that's fine. We want to stop it at 2 so that it's not that we have to do the Open Meetings Act. And then we just call up a couple citizens and say, hey, we've heard you have interest, or we know you have expertise, will you come help? That's kind of
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I'm comfortable with that change. I don't know if there are people from the public who would like to comment on this one. I wouldn't mind opening it up because there have been concerns expressed to me about the different procedure that was discussed last week.
And that's fair enough.
If there's an interest, I don't know if there's a willingness on the part of this body to.
I'm always willing to listen.
Yeah, if anyone wants to come up to the podium regarding this item, just come up and state your name and address and we'll be happy to answer your questions.
I don't care who does it as long as it gets done. And I can find your email address in less than a minute. Because right now I have to fill out all these blanks to get it. It's
To
really.
get my email?
Yeah.
No. To get to it, the application.
Because it says contacts and we wanted some email addresses one day and we couldn't find them. We had to submit our name to get the information. And I'm not really blonde. I'm pretty tech savvy, but our city's website is hard to navigate.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine Mrs. Jolly getting on it and trying to do that.
Yeah, that's fair enough. We got to figure out a way to make that better. Our issue with email addresses is if we don't have some steps, we get spammed like
I'm sure you
crazy.
do. I'm sure you do.
And I learned that the hard way in the previous city I was in. I had S. Darrington at South Ogden City on the website, and I got free.
I'm sure you do. But
Because-
I'm human and I'll put in the numbers if you want me to.
Yeah, and so we have to find this balance of making it easy and access for our citizens.
Yeah.
Without it being too onerous, but
Yeah.
also protecting.
Even city council minutes, even to listen, it's not organized very well, I don't think, to find
That's
those.
exactly the things I think we need to talk about and say, okay, how
Yeah.
can we make this more user?
Yeah, and I think that's the frustration. Then when I talk to a lot of
Go
people.
ahead and give your name and
Molly Andrew, 1107 Nathaniel Drive.
Okay, thanks. And
Thanks.
that's the whole goal of the website committee too, is to fix those problems. Anyone else that would like to comment?
Andy Wade, 425 South, 1100 East. I would think our staff is plenty competent to take this on. I appreciate what Administrator Darrington has said, and I don't think we need to be caught up in a big minutia of a bunch of stuff. If we could just look at what the problems are, have staff make some changes. It also concerns me that we're contractually obligated with someone to build that website right now, and if we change that contract, how that's going to affect whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, our contract right now is with an individual who we pay. Let me take a step back. Before we had this individual, we had a contract with somebody else, but we were paying $2,000 a month regardless of how much work they did. And so as we were looking at that, some of the times we thought, well, we haven't asked them to do anything this month, and yet we paid $2,000. So we decided to step away from that person, and our new agreement with our new person who's been with us for a couple of years now is we'll pay you $25 an hour. And if we ever reach a threshold of $2,000 in 1 month, we're not going to pay you, but we're still going to ask you to do things, but we're not going to pay you more than that $2,000 a month. And I think there's only been a couple months where he's hit that threshold of the 2,000, and that was when we were, in essence, rebuilding the back end of the website with some new language stuff that I'm not technically able to tell you. Other than it was a big overhaul, it was a big deal, and it took a lot of time. In a given month, our, he might do 20 hours. I mean, if we pay him $1,000 a month, then we're probably keeping him somewhat busy that month. And really, there's just certain things that we need posted on there, we need done on there. We just email them to him. He's usually pretty good about getting it up that night. He has a regular job. He does this when he gets home. He's been very responsive that way. But if we don't have things for him to put on there, then we're not paying him. And so that's been kind of the upside of how the contract works.
Yeah, I just want to echo that I think it's a problem that staff can address, and look forward to seeing the solutions. Thanks.
Appreciate it, Blake.
Yeah, so the other thing that came up last week that I had a question about was what our traffic numbers are. Can we get any kind of preliminary numbers or just a quick report of what we see, what our, we don't need deep analytics, but it'd be nice to have a sense of how much our site is used and how many people abandon it in the first 5 minutes or whatever.
Well, I talked about that with Trent about a year ago, and he was, and I think he gave me some numbers. I don't think I ever forwarded out to the council, but and they were just pretty general as far as how many web views and because one of the questions was asked was how many times are they hitting a certain link, and we didn't have, at least we weren't paying for the analytics to go that deep. So Trent does have information. He can give us an idea as to how many people are accessing it in a given day. And things like that. So I can just follow up with him and have him send that, and then I can forward it on to you.
That'd be great.
Anything else? Any other comments or questions?
Okay.
So-
Wait. So if there are citizens that just want to be a part of it, they just contact you, they contact Sid?
And then give me a call, send me an email.
So I've already had several contact me and a couple staff. So I have about 6 people right now who want to be involved, and that's residents and staff. And so
Yeah, part of the discussion is how big, how many people do we want on it? How often are they going to meet? If they're meeting weekly, that's at least for a citizen to engage at that level, that'd be fantastic. But if it's 2 hours a week on a given basis, that's a lot of time on their end. If it's every other week, that's probably a little more doable. If some people can only commit, if the idea is that we do this for kind of an extended period to really revamp the website, then there might be a commitment on the citizens' part to commit to that. But to me, that's a phone call, that's an email exchange to say, okay, here's kind of what we think this committee is going to do. Here's the time commitment. Is that something you can do? I'm just saying administratively, we can figure all that out.
So, and then obviously I'd like to serve on that. And so I'll give you the name Scott, and then we can just move forward with setting up a time when we can all meet, decide what best time is to.
That'd be great.
So
that'd be great.
So yeah, if anyone would like to be on that who hasn't already contacted me, just contact Scott. I've advertised it on social media a little bit and gotten a couple of responses, so we'll just move forward.
So it's S. Darrington at Pleasant.
Hillgrove.org.
Hillgrove.org.
No, wait,
Send me spam.
PGCity.org. PGCity.org.
PG City, well, I think both actually.
Yeah.
You can find it on the website. Apparently, it might take you 15 clicks.
Yeah.
Well, the website doesn't say, it just says you're emailing the city administrator, it doesn't say what you're.
Yeah, and people can find, I've gotten plenty of emails, I know.
Okay,
Which is
so,
fine, that's good. People can.
I'll ask for a motion to approve the creation of the website enhancement ad hoc committee.
Well, do we do that?
Do we need a motion or can we?
It says.
No,
We don't even have to
what I'm saying is the
Okay.
council just kick it back to us administratively.
Okay.
You're doing it.
All right. Okay, we'll move on to item 10A, which is a public hearing to adopt ordinance 2015-15, enacting section 3-3E of the Pleasant Grove City Code, adopting a franchise fee upon the city utilities for use of city streets, establishing a maximum rate, and other related matters.
So this is something we've been talking about for a couple months now. Normally this would be Dean presenting. He's at a conference this week, and it was good enough to time it so that I got to take his spot and try to explain all this. So I think most people are familiar with this. We had the state auditor has told cities at this point, you need to account for whatever utilities that your city is using. And this goes back to metering, water, and those types of things. So because of that, our enterprise funds need to charge our general fund a fee for the use of these services. And that's this really kind of turns into a bookkeeping thing to a point where we as a city, our utilities, if we have other utilities, for instance, Rocky Mountain Power, Comcast, CenturyLink, if they're in our road, if their facilities are in our road, we charge them a 6% franchise fee. So in order to account for this, either the city could just say, all right, we're going to take the money out of the general fund and give it to the enterprise funds to pay for this. That's about $150,000. And the general fund money, that's going to be a difficult on that budget for us to account for that 150,000. So what most cities are doing are two things. One is they either have a public hearing at the end of each year and they just transfer money from the enterprise funds back to the general fund, or they're doing what we're suggesting, which we think is an easier, cleaner way that will be implemented once and it will just continue in perpetuity. And that is to charge ourselves a franchise fee. So the enterprise funds or the general fund is going to charge the enterprise funds for using our streets. That's a general fund expense. And so that franchise fee will cover the loss in the general fund. So what the ordinance states is up to 3%, and then it's a rate we'll likely set each year just to make sure that the general fund stays whole on the franchise fee issue. So it's slightly convoluted. Again, it's more of a counting issue to make sure that money stays where we've always had it. This satisfies what the state auditor, they're okay with us doing it in this manner. Like I said, most cities are doing one of those two options to account for it. So if there's any questions from the council,
And we discussed this a couple times before.
yeah, I think it was first brought up in our retreat in January. We've had a couple follow-up discussions. This is something that they're going to look at for our current budget year. And so we really want to get this implemented right away and not wait till July 1st.
And Dean answered all those questions.
Yes, I think, and Dean's explained it a whole heck of a lot better than I have in the past. But
And will it improve our standing, basically? Wasn't it suggested by when we got our rating, that it was suggested we do something like this? And will it then increase our